sure there's no chips around there. And the previous ones, I mean, you can see the texture in here. That's the inside of the cap. So I didn't speed it up going around the outside so I can keep a nicer finish. But the other surfaces that aren't going to be seen, I opted for speed over pretty. I do like that tiny little edge break. That's like it's supposed to be a 6 style chamfer. I'm not sure it's quite that much, but oh yeah, nice. I end up having to do the contour here on the inside. I think I'm gonna check the tool path. If it allows a finishing pass, I'm gonna go with that instead of having that contour in there. Save a little time. I have to have the contour around this 1/4 inch lip here because the adaptive here, if I don't leave any, it won't leave as nice a finish. So I want a contour on the big pass, and this is part of the adaptive. So I can't tell it don't leave any stock here and leave stock here unless I separate the tools. At first I was going to try to get rid of a little of that movement, make it fit a little better, but I got a bunch of these and I'm only using one as a test fit, so I'm not positive some of the others aren't a little tighter. And a little wiggle room will be fine because that'll just help the ball joint line up better. So alright, I am putting these in. I had, one side machine, and so I'm putting that in the back because I know that that'll be the best register point. I found that if I use this level, or square rather, that it will stay there. And so then I can just bring it up against, and that'll get rid of any of the where it's turned kind of thing. Because since I'm coming in from the side here at this thin point, I don't want the tool to come down and hit right there. So granted, it's a level of accuracy that's not really needed, but it's just better to do it than to wish I had. I leave the handle on. I set it so there's no tool change because it's the only tool I'm running. This is the Eagle Claw. I've talked about it before. Love that thing. So nice and quiet. Does the contour pass and cuts that excess off beautifully. It's the only tool I'm running. I'm boring the hole at 2 thou per tooth, so it ramps down nice. I could get more aggressive with all of this, but I want to be able to turn my back. It barely runs. It's a 1:50 cycle time. They're coming out of here pretty quick, and so I'm going to bore the hole, cut off the excess, and then I'm going to adaptive clear this off the top of each of them because I decided I am going to go ahead and do the final pass on these caps on the lathe. I'm going to hit start and I'm going to go ahead and let it run and then, you know, blow it off and stuff like that, pull them out, put another set in, and call it good. G54 is on the front corner of the soft jaws here. I repurposed these soft jaws from something else. Basically, I cut out a step on them and that stuff, so they're just fine. But I set the two models up like this in Fusion with the G54 here, and so when it cut the pockets in the soft jaws, then I also have both of these in Fusion so that it does the tool path. So I'm not doing G54 and G55, I'm doing just G54, and since it, you know, the pockets in the soft jaws and these pieces are modeled the same, basically, you know, I have one in there, my primary, and then I did a copy of it, a mirror or something like that, and inserted it, you know, set it basically 3.5 inches off center, and it's not centered in the jaw because I drew the jaws originally as 6.5, but they're close enough. I didn't want to use a 6.5 inch jaw, and this one turned out to be 6 inches. I could have went in and it wasn't worth changing it. You know what I mean? So this is the final way I'm going to run the rest of them. I did all the figuring out already. Any changes I was going to make. Whether to run coolant or not. Some of the other trials are on Instagram, okay? So something I explained on Instagram that, well, first, I got no complaints at all. And if you noticed, it plunged in here on the backside a little bit and put a little bit of a chamfer on there. Perfect. Perfect, just to make it so it's not a hard, sharp edge. But that's nice. That's nice. So what's going on here with the ring is that on most chuck jaws, okay, they can't machine a perfectly hard, sharp corner in there. You know this when you're milling and stuff like that, even when you're turning on the lathe. And so there is the equivalent of a mouse ear, like there would be in milling. There's a chamfer in on both horizontal and vertical, you know, X and Z surfaces. And now this has a chamfer, so it wouldn't have mattered, but what happens is, yeah, see how that drops into the... Well, I couldn't get it to go... might be able to see the wobble in there. Anyway, the point of the ring is to span that gap. So it's just a hair bigger. The ID is just a hair bigger than this ID. So that keeps it from dropping into that. And granted, it only leaves 1/8 of an inch, but it's aluminum with a polished cutter. I'm taking light cuts. The most drastic one is on the chamfer here going in. The roughing for that is 20 thou step in, but it's only a 3 thou, maybe it's a 5 thou feed rate. Okay, so there's extremely little load. I don't have to worry about this popping off. Alright, well, let's see how well it focuses and shows up. So I have not done that one yet. Perfect. And the reason I decided to go ahead and do it on the drill press is because it's a little bit quicker, but trying to get the hand deburr tool down in here, it's just easier just to do it on the drill press. I was going to avoid it because I didn't want to slip and, you know, mess up the surface. And I don't think any of that's been in focus. So I was avoiding doing it on the drill press because I didn't want to miss and, you know, mark up the top surface. But since I got to do it down on the backside, the underside, it reaches down in there. And let's see here, trying to do it with a hand deburr tool, I guess actually that would work. The thing is I gotta wait until they're done anyway because I'm chasing chips on the lathe. Since I can't do any kind of chip break or anything like that. So I'd rather chase the chips and make sure they don't, you know, mess anything up. I don't need it to bring it forward to me, so I tell it to stop the spindle before it goes up, because that way I can reach in here and blow these off or whatever I want, and then I don't have it come forward because there's just no point wasting that time. Well, these are the two that just came off. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, good enough. Certainly outclasses most of the rest of it.